Hey everybody, welcome back to another War of the Visions video. If you're wondering why for the last two videos I haven't had any of my camera on or anything, I unfortunately have a bit of a flood here at the apartment. The apartment right above us flooded, and then the water was coming through all the fixtures and the ceilings, and luckily missed all of my tech, like missed my computer, my laptop, my PlayStation 4. Just a real lucky situation, but at the same time, for a while there, we had industrial fans and dehumidifiers going 24/7, and I've pulled all the stuff off my shelves, and my Gundam models are out of the display case, and the place is kind of a mess right now. So we're doing no cam for now, and we're gonna see if I have to move or not, and then kind of go from there. So that's the reason for the change so far. Okay, so we're going to take a look at Rairyuu today because lucky me, I was able to get his TMR. He is now maxed. I'm still leveling him, but I have been working on seeing how his status effects can go. So what I did today was I ran him through some duels, and I was able to test out how he was going to be able to inflict status effects on opponents. So you can see here with this setup, I've got his Moonless Gun now. This gun has a pretty low attack compared to the Ras Elgathi, but it does have 13 evade, which is pretty sweet, and then blind granted. If it hits, you have a chance of inflicting blind on your opponent. And I've also now been able to give him a bit of accuracy and some extra evade with my +5 wizard's hat. So this was the setup that I used, and Rairyuu, I've also maxed his faith because the calculation for inflicting a status effect, as far as we know, is your faith plus their faith divided by 4. So that means that if you have max faith attacking a max faith, I think the chance is still something in like the 40%. So you're never going to get super high, and if anyone has any corrections on that, please let me know. You also have to consider resistances. So units have these resistances here. For example, Rairyuu has the disable resistance, so he would be good against opponents' arm shots. So keeping that in mind, I had to pick my targets carefully, and we'll talk more about that. But for now, let's take a look at how these status effect chances look in a real battle. Okay, so here we are in a battle, and I've got Balo at 30 faith, and Ramza is up at 97 faith, and then my Rairyuu is also at 97 faith. So if I back him up all the way over here, we're going to take a look at a side attack. I can see that I have, on a normal attack, 29% chance to blind Ramza, which is not that high. Balo, on the other hand, 19% chance to blind him. Neither of these units have resistance to blind. However, if I were to move off of the side here and use Blackout, which is an ability that also inflicts blind, it's going to be up to 31% on Balo and then 48% on Ramza. So that's obviously a lot better than the last one. Leg shot is going to be the same thing, 31 on Balo and then a 48 on Ramza. And if I run back, just so we're aware, you can see it's still 48 from a back attack. My accuracy has gone up. That's not going to affect if the status effect actually is more successful or not. So what we're looking at really is on units that are low faith, like tanks and some certain attackers, you're really not going to blind them that often. But for high faith units, which are going to be a lot of casters, you might blind them more often on the regular attack, but it's not something that you can probably bank on, as 29% still isn't absolutely huge, although it is still significant compared to 19, I think. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to try to blind Ramza, and then we'll take a look at his chances of hitting. So we'll see if we can get it on this one shot. Wow, okay, well I did not expect that to work. So Ramza is now blinded, so we'll bring him over to Rairyuu and we'll take a look. His chance to hit is still 99%, even from the front. So that's kind of a bummer that it didn't decrease much at all, especially from the front. But we also have to consider Ramza's stats are probably pretty good in terms of his dexterity, so versus Rairyuu as someone to dodge. It would be very interesting to see how much the blind can reduce the chance to hit on someone that is already an evade unit, or if I had equipped Rairyuu's evade equipment, although he does have the gun on right now, but it seems like that's not super high. If we take a look at Balo, we're gonna be able to see it's 100% from the side, 100 from the back, and then from the side, and then from the front. Still 100 on Balo, and his stats are pretty low too. So let's just whack this wolf. So it's definitely aesthetically very pleasing to see Rairyuu blind someone. Okay, so I've now blinded Balo, and if we take a look at his chance to hit, it's 21 from the front, 36 from the back, or from the side. Wow, I can't really get that. And then 51 from the back. So let's compare that to when he's not blinded. So Balo had about 3 turns of blind, and let's see how now he's got a 100% chance to hit from the side, or from the back. Wow, 100% on the side. And then if we go over here, he's got 86 chance to hit from the front. So it seems like the blind was very, very significant on Balo, but was not significant on Ramza. And I guess that's a matter of stats, but to go from those 50 and below percentages all the way to 86, 100, and 100, that's a pretty huge jump. So I'm going to have to look into more about how that works before I can give you the conclusion on this. All right, so finally I'm going to show you the arena matches that I played today. I did 10 matches total to try to get a nice little sample of chances to inflict blind, as well as don't move and don't act, and it was actually pretty successful. So 4 out of the 10 matches I was able to put status effects on my opponent, and I think it would have been more if it hadn't been the start of the week and people weren't dying so quickly. I actually tried to take on as tough opponents as I could at each stage so that the opponents would last longer and I would get more attacks with Rairyuu. I also tried to pick a mix of people with high faith. I went after a lot of Spellblade Ramzas because then Rairyuu would be able to attack him for a while, even though he has strength against him. Ramza's pretty beefy compared to like a caster. And I also went on against a certain amount of tanks, especially Mont. I actually stayed away from any sort of Thancreds. So Thancred here, if we take a look at him, he's actually got a don't move resistance, as does, so you can see here, he's got 50% resistance to don't move. Engelbert also has don't move resistance 50%, and so does Victora. Victora also has 50% immobilize resistance. So I was avoiding those 3, and typically how the matches would go would be Rairyuu would use his vital shot right off the bat. He might attack a few times and then start slapping some don't moves, and the results are pretty funny. There was actually one match that I straight up won because of the status effect. So enjoy, and I'll commentate a little bit. Okay, so here's a match where I picked a Ramza that had 97 faith, and the clip's going to cut off unfortunately, but you're going to see right at the end here that he is going to, there's a blind on Lucia, but she's dead, and then in a second the Rairyuu is going to shoot that Ramza, and that Ramza is going to be immobilized and stuck up on the top cliff. So the poor Ramza has to cast resist magic, and then the rest of my team can kind of make their way up there and take care of him while he builds up his AP. And nope, Victoria, you don't have to worry about him moving. Alright, so here's another match where there was a status infliction, and I don't know if it won me the match, but it definitely was a lot of fun to watch. So I picked the Ramza, and I'm hoping in the future when we can turn off abilities that I'll be able to get the don't move or arm shot right off the bat to kind of mess up their start. But we're going to see in a second here how Rairyuu can really just stop someone in their tracks. So Ramza doing his trademark run back and then immobilize. So that Sid is not going anywhere at all. We don't have to worry about him coming down in here and possibly cleaning up that Victoria. He can't even reach the Victoria from where he is. So then Victoria can go up, finish off the Lucia. And don't worry, he's not going to move if you need to jump. I guess it wore off, but either way, that's the win. Okay, so this was probably my favorite match of the entire day because I picked someone that I probably was going to lose to. I bit off a little more than I could chew, and it worked out so well. So we see that my DPS is going to go engage with them on the side there, but Mont is taking the Rairyuu away from Ramza, which is a bummer, and then Victoria is getting taunted away by Mont as well, which is kind of putting me in an awkward position, because now Victoria is going to get beaten up. And luckily, Rairyuu is able to pick off the stern there because Victoria was in the way of Mont. But I'm still in a bit of trouble here if I can't finish off this tank. Their Ramza also was a ninja, so I didn't check this one to see if he was a Spellblade, so that was my mistake. But it's looking pretty bad at this point because I can't seem to hit this ninja, and I just lost my DPS. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm definitely going to lose. We get a finish off here on the Mont, and then this is where I'm like, okay, I survived one. Lucky he didn't have an ability up. I'm gonna run away from him, and there's the disable, so he can't do anything. All he can do is follow me. I move back, and there it is. So total win. All right, final match of the day, and I do inflict a status here, but it's not enough for me to be able to win. So this one I definitely picked a little more than I could chew, and this rain was a bad match for my Victoria. Although it does show that despite the elemental advantage, if she's in the air, you can't cast on her, which is pretty awesome. So here we have a jump, and you can see it does so much less damage against rain than it does against other units. And then a big taunting spell missed there. But he's not doing much damage with his special anyway. Rairyuu, though, he's not able to inflict any statuses here. Come on. Where's the don't move? Not that that would help that much. So at this point, I really need Victoria to finish off the Orlando if possible. But I just can't seem to hit him, and this rain still has aggro, so the most powerful unit's left, and I'm in a bit of trouble. And there's the blind. So this is where I'm thinking, man, if Orlando misses my Victoria here, I'm in good shape. But he hits. And again, I'm still thinking, look at this, how many times have I missed now with Rairyuu? I think 3 times. I'm thinking if I can just get some AP, if he can miss me at least once because I've got my evade gear on and he's got blind, but then he nullifies the blind, he comes on over, and he's going to finish me off right about here. So it was a good run. What can you do? Well, that's going to be it for me today for this video, but I hope you enjoyed it and you see now that you can do a little bit of status effect shenanigans in this game. It's not going to be 100%, but it is going to be fun every single time it happens, and this has definitely made Rairyuu a lot more fun to play with for me as well, and he already was a pretty awesome unit. So hopefully in the future I can do another video that shows how he works once I turn off vital shot and double shot, and we'll see how many times he can arm shot a person on the first turn. I'll probably pick maps where he can take a shot at someone and I can select my targets with high faith and see how taking someone out of the match that way can sway it in my favor. But until then, I hope to see you next time. And if you're just stopping by the channel for the first time, I would appreciate any sort of likes and subs and all that. I'm actually almost at 1,000, which is pretty neat, and I never thought I'd get here when I started out. So it's a pretty exciting time for me. But until the next video, keep it real, and we'll see you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. You can show your support with a like and subscribe, and by checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/MysidiaGaming. Until next time, keep it real, Mysidians.